Morning. I'm going to be talking about a story called In the Footsteps of Crazy Horse by Joseph Marshal III. This story centers around a young Lakota boy who is 11. His name is Jimmy McLean. He lives on the Rosebud Sioux Indian Reservation with his mom and his dad. Jimmy is a little bit different from all the other kids on the reservation. He is not just Lakota, he's also a little bit Scottish. Because of this, he is light-skinned, he has light hair, and he has blue eyes, which he is relentlessly teased for by the other kids. One summer, his grandfather, Grandpa Niles High Eagle, decides to take Jimmy on a journey to reconnect with his Lakota heritage and so he can better understand himself and see himself in his Lakota people. Grandpa Niles tells Jimmy the story of Crazy Horse, and through this story he explains to Jimmy that Crazy Horse, when he was younger, used to be known as Light Hair because he too had light hair and lighter skin than other Lakota people. And the purpose of the journey, Jimmy not only learns about the Lakota hero, Crazy Horse, but he also begins to learn about himself and how he can see himself in others. The story itself shifts between the experiences that Grandpa Niles and Jimmy embark on, visiting historical sites through the states of North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana. But not just that, it also is told through Grandpa Niles' storytelling of Crazy Horse. In the excerpt I'm going to read is one of those stories that Grandpa Niles is sharing with Jimmy. It's just before the Fetterman Battle, or as the Lakota people referred to it, the Battle of the 100 in the Hands. Crazy Horse took his warriors to a thick stand of leafless bushes. Hidden there, they waited. The other group, the wagon attackers, kept going and found another place to hide. Then everyone waited to see if the wagons would emerge from the fort. Everything depended on that. Before noon, the wagons did roll out of the fort through a large double gate. They rumbled west on the road toward the forest. 2 or 3 men rode in each, along with their axes and saws. They were going to gather wood. The wagons followed the road. Soon they were even with the long, low ridge to the right. From a thicket of shrubs, the wagon attackers burst from hiding. Making their horses gallop over the frozen ground, they rode toward the wood wagons. Gunfire erupted from the warriors' rifles and pistols. More gunshots blasted as the men in the wagons shot back at the attacking warriors. The gunshots cracked loudly across the ice-covered landscape. A battle between the attacking warriors and the wagon men ensued. After several minutes, the fort's gates opened and soldiers hurried out. They moved in a column of 2s, 80 in all. The first 40 were mounted. The 40 behind them were on foot. The column hurried toward the gunfire. The Long Knives had carried out such tactics before. Each soldier had a rifle and a pistol and a holster. All wore heavy blue overcoats, thick leather gloves, and fur caps. Crazy Horse and his warriors saw the soldiers emerge through the gate. An important step in the plan was happening. He held his men back, waiting for the soldiers to get farther away from the fort. If he attacked too soon, they might run back to the gates. The commander of the Long Knives was in a hurry, so the soldiers on foot had to keep up. Before long, the mounted soldiers were far ahead. From this hiding place, Crazy Horse could see them. He waited until he could see most of the column. In spite of the intense cold, Crazy Horse tossed up his buffalo robe so he could handle his weapons more easily. His warriors did the same. He turned to them as he took out his pistol. "Follow me," he called out. "We do this for our people." Without looking back, he urged his horse out of the thicket. In the open, he coaxed it into a gallop. The 9 other warriors were close behind him, all of them with rifles in hand. So the story continues from there of the Fetterman Battle. And just seeing what happened and how Jimmy sees it through his grandfather's storytelling and begins to understand who Crazy Horse was and how that applies to him being a member of the Lakota tribe. The book, again, is called In the Footsteps of Crazy Horse by Joseph Marshal III. It's a really great blend of fiction and nonfiction, and I hope you really enjoy it. Thanks.